Okay, 1340, good luck. That's a bit of a rating gap, isn't it? We have actually played before. It's a little bit of a rating gap. 130 games as well, so my opponent again could still be in the process of establishing a rating, but it's enough games to basically broadly do it. The queen is not the book move. The book move is takes with a pawn, but going with a queen, it gets you out of the more standard theory a little bit earlier. Bishop up. Okay, let's just develop the knight. We just got to watch out for the obvious attack on the queen, which has now come. So you can go this way or drop back. I like to just drop straight back because obviously the bishop up is a natural development move. And then we're going to do something broadly like this in castle. My opponent's playing quite quickly as well. I'd expect a move like bishop down at some point. I'm going to do this. Look at castling. I could potentially go here. Obviously depends what white does. So there I'll drop back. Get the cursor off the board so there's no accidental slips. Okay, bishop's come up, so bishop to d6 might be sensible just to challenge that. It's a nice natural development move, so I'm going to do that. I'll pre-move in case he takes. Knight e5, perfectly fine move as well, and we trade the bishop. It's quite common in the Caro. You can see I've done a pre-move there because you can see the highlights on the square, so if my opponent takes, it'll take back. The bishop drops back, so I'm going to now castle. Then I need to get this knight into play, and then move the queen somewhere to connect the rooks. So probably knight here and something like this, that sort of concept. We could potentially try and create a mate threat, but it's unlikely to work. Obviously it is rapid chess, my opponent's got plenty of time. But just the normal, more obvious type of attack. Okay, goes with a3. So I've got bishop back and knight up as my two candidate moves. It's maybe not a silly idea to go for this because you're threatening to take. I'm going to do it actually. It helps to give me an extra piece controlling d5 should white be wanting to try and push the pawn. But it does create the potential for a quick attack. But even again, knight e5 is a perfectly fine move, and then we just trade the bishop. So it's whether I want to actually go for it. Rook across and knight over is also perfectly sensible. It just feels like I'm kind of inviting this, aren't I? So takes, say queen takes. I'm not really making anything in the way of much in the way of progress. Yeah, I'm going to play rook across first and try and bring the knight over to f8. Just try and complete development. Don't try and attack too soon. When it's risk and reward, it's very little reward and some risk with it, I think. Okay, it could work. My opponent could blunder the attack, but it's less likely in rapid chess, so... Okay. So I'm going to play knight up and across. I've still got knight across here if I need it. Knight down, I can still trade the bishop if I need it. It's quite common in the Caro to trade the bishops on e2. But otherwise, I'm just looking to complete development. Knight to f8. It does mean the rook can't go back to f8 though, but it's useful defensive square. Knight across actually has come into mind as well now, because we do hit two pieces, takes, and we can cause an imbalance on the actual pawn structure. Now that kind of invites me to drop the bishop back with tempo on the queen. Yeah, I'm going to do that. The bishop's got a nice square here now. So he's gone back. So now I could play in here and trade. Or I can still play knight across or knight f8. But I could potentially bring the knight this way. I want to move this knight and then I'm looking at this, but I'm just debating which of these to do. It's a more attacking square here. I can come in over. Actually, I'm going to go this way. Gives me a choice to come in here, plus I've still got this, and I can still maybe try this, connect the rooks in the middle of the board. It just gives white something to think about. Okay, does push forward, so now queen up. Feels like a natural move. I can just kind of ignore that and still do this or this, I think. Queen up. Okay, I'm not threatening to actually take the knight right now, though. That's a slight issue. Actually, I'm going to play knight forward. I'm going to try and advance my bishop, and then the bishop covers c6. But it does give me the benefit that the bishop hits the knight, so queen up has got a bit of potential to it. And if takes, I could potentially go here. It's a bit risky. Probably go with the pawn and drop the bishop back this way just to be defensive. Again, get the cursor off the board so there's no accidental slips. Okay, launches forward, so that immediately cuts out this move. That's a good move. That immediately cuts out this because of this. Now, I could maybe take here now. I think that looks sensible. I'm going to do that. If you take back, you've then got an isolated pawn, and if you don't, I can jump the knight into the middle if you push. You're going to get this back, but it's still a target for me. So now we've broken these pawn structure up. So queen up is a threat again now. Knight down is a perfectly good move, but we're threatening to take and come in. So queen up, there's no bishop on the diagonal, so I quite like the look of just a simple queen up. So I'm going to do it and then try and centralize the rook somewhere. Get the rooks fully centralized, but there is a basic threat on the board now. So queen check, king across check, the king comes up. It's not an immediate mate threat, but it's a basic threat, something for my opponent to think about. Otherwise, get the rook and try and put pressure on the pawn. Knight in is still a perfectly fine move, I think. Maybe I've got queen up with a view bishop takes. Yeah, the knight has come forward. So I'm looking at queen up. Now, bishop there is actually covered, so there's no immediate threat to the queen. If you do something like this, I can drop back this way. I'd be quite happy knight takes. So queen up seems sensible to me. We're pressuring the pawn, but we're threatening to immediately capture the knight. So here, takes, 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 takes. It feels all right to me. I could just centralize first, I guess. It's just whether I want to go c8 or d8. Actually, I like the look of that. What's wrong with that? I'm going to go here first, give the bishop an option to go back. I'm happy to drop this bishop back here. Knight takes, pawn takes. Just got to watch out for some sort of an attack coming. Like bishop down, I'll play bishop back. But there's also a potential now just for simply simplifying. We'd lose an exchange this way, albeit we'd get a pawn, but it gives me options. I mean, even f4 could come, I suppose, and then at least I guess we could maybe consider f6. Yeah, he has indeed played the bishop there, so I thought I could just simply drop back here. I'm going to do that, not burn all the clock. I don't mind whether he takes with the knight or the bishop. It's a safe pre-move either way to take back. Okay, the bishop's gone back, so now I've got this concept. Takes, 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 takes. But he actually covers the pawn, so we don't get the extra pawn, so that doesn't seem quite so good. I'm just looking at queen back now, and then we are threatening to simply win a piece. That seems sensible. We can accidentally hang a pawn. You should just take here though. So knight takes, you take here. So do I want to spend a move defending that? Actually, I think I should. I'm going to play a knight in just to guard that pawn. Create a basic threat to the bishop. I don't want to give away a free pawn if I can help it. Equally, I don't particularly want to push because it allows knight in. It's not an easy position to try and create something concrete. Maybe bishop here to pressure the pawn because it's an isolated pawn. Actually, yeah, bishop here looks sensible. This is where I wish the rook was here now. Queen back and I could play the bishop up. So maybe I put the rook on the wrong square. Okay, he's chosen to take, so I must go with the queen. Don't see any reason not to. I assume he'll take the bishop as well. But we are threatening bishop takes knight now if he doesn't. So I'll pre-move just to take back. So we're threatening to actually win a piece now with bishop takes knight if he doesn't take. Oh, and he hasn't taken. I think he's blundered. So take, and that's... It's not necessarily over, you've got rook down, but it should be just about over. He had knight takes bishop there, he's just overlooked it. So we should be a piece up here now. But again, there is this little bit of danger with these pawns. So rook down, I'd have to go here to defend, then I need to give myself a square, so I might not be able to keep these. So still could be dangerous. Oh, he's played rook there. I need to probably do something like this just so I don't blunder the back rank, but I've got rook here to encourage this. Actually, maybe do I come back here? Just so I don't concede my own 7th rank. It's a little bit defensive. So rook back, rook across. Give myself a pawn push somewhere just so I don't blunder the back rank. Then if your rook comes in, I can kind of double up, or I could trade, rook trades and go behind, and then I should be fine. I'm going to do that. I'm going to go a bit defensive for now, push a pawn, and then I'm going to worry about how to expand later on. But we're a piece up now. We're up on the clock. So I just don't want to allow these pawns to come blasting through. Okay, he's gone forward. I'm just going to go up 1 square, I think, just so I definitely don't blunder the 1 move back rank mate. I still need to move the bishop somewhere so the king can actually escape. How do we do that? Actually, I'm going to go here and put the bishop in the middle and guard the pawn. Very nice square for the bishop. It guards this pawn as well. So then we can think about doubling up and the king can easily run away now. So it just removes that element of silly blunders. Or at least in principle it does anyway. A very nice square for the bishop. He can't really shift it. We can double the rooks up at some point and try and move the bishop and get forward. So I'm looking at this sort of concept. Okay, he's attacked the bishop. Now, do I want rook up first? I don't think I do actually. I'm just going to drop back, keep nice and sensible and solid. Then what do we do? We could do this to double up this way. We can double up this way. Probably double up on the d file and then move the bishop again. Although that concedes this file. That's a mistake, I think. Yeah, I'm going to go to the open file now because there's no need to move my bishop. So I think we should be cleanly winning the game now, barring bad blunders, but they do happen. Okay, so now we've got rook up to pressure the pawns. You can defend it with this, but it's not otherwise too easy. So I'm going to do that. Just go up and attack the pawns. And then try and bring this other rook across. So he's played rook across, so that just concedes a pawn. It does concede the open file, but I can just clamp the position, can't I? So I think I should take the pawn. If down, I could even just take, I guess, or I could just ignore it maybe. How do I do that? I can go here and just allow takes and takes. I could just simply take and drop back. It kind of removes risk. Yeah, I'm going to do that. Just take the pawn. I can always drop my rook back. Just to go sensible and solid. Even if I lose this pawn, it doesn't really matter. I'm up the bishop. We're up the bishop, so we don't really need to defend it. I mean, we can do. We'll do it for now and try and centralise, but we don't really need to worry about that one. And we're up 3 minutes on the clock. So he's gone across, so I'm going here. And now we've got the option to try and charge forward. So that's why I gave my king a square. Obviously, I don't want to get my king completely blocked, mind. So I think now we can just concede this and we can just march forward. That's the idea I'm looking at. It depends on my opponent does it actually. This could be a slight problem. Yeah, I'm going to bring the king forward first. If I do this, takes this. There is a potential issue here if you get your rooks doubled up. But I say white's nearly out of time. I just need to be sensible and play the clock. Right, the rook has moved, so there's no immediate threat. So now I'm going to go for it and pressure this pawn. Idea is just bring the other rook up. Okay, he's come forward. So I guess we can actually just check and take here. That has the benefit that we guard here as well. So this pawn really doesn't matter at all now. It's just going after checkmate now. And we're threatening mate next move. So that's a checkmate. So decent effort by my opponent though. It was a close game for most of that, I thought. Let's pause it and put it through the analyzer, see what it says. 43 moves. A lot of my games tend to be close like that though, against players of all rating levels, because I just try to play good principled chess. I don't go in for wild, crazy stuff. So a lot of the games are like that, and of course, as soon as you make one mistake, it can easily go wrong. So we've played 95% accuracy versus 88% and an 18 centre pawn loss. My average centre pawn loss is about 32, so that's good. But 39 for my opponent, that's very good as well, but it's just sensible, solid chess. So you can see the blunders should be highlighted here. Obviously, the very final move was just Dobby allowing checkmate there, so that's all that final one was there, because there was a mate threat on the board. And obviously you can take your time in your own games and play through them, and you can see, yeah, it's all completely level out of the opening. You can see that from the bar here as well, just essentially level. But white's actually +1 up very early on, because I knew I was taking with a queen. The pawn is the more principled move. So I already knew what that was going to be. And then that was the mistake, as I said. Knight can take the bishop, not allowing this. So rook a to c1, just lost a piece, and that's all it was. Knight takes bishop and we're still level. So very good effort by my opponent there. So on another day could easily go wrong, but we got the win.